And good morning. It's good to be with you on this Wednesday morning. Let's take a look again at Jesus' last words on the cross right before his death, as recorded by John. John says that Jesus said, "It is accomplished." And the question, of course, then we have is, well, what do we mean by "it is accomplished"? This is an exercise that we're going to engage in over the next few weeks so that we might think about what we believe concerning Jesus. What did Jesus accomplish? What did he mean when he said, "It is accomplished"? One of the things that we would look at is the statement that is made in John, a couple verses ahead in verse 28, where John alludes to the fact that Scripture would be fulfilled by the things that occurred, by what Jesus does while he's on the cross, the things that happened to him, the things that are part of the story of the crucifixion, that Scripture would be fulfilled. And there's a number of things that John records in the text of chapter 19 of his gospel, the scene of Jesus on the cross, that point to various references in the Old Testament. So in other words, there were certain statements and phrases made in the Old Testament. And at the time that they were made, there was a certain context about them. They were part of the story. They were part of the statement that was being made. But what we learn later on is they also had a meaning where they pointed forward to the Messiah. They pointed forward to the Anointed One, and the Anointed One, of course, is Jesus. Jesus is the Christ. He is the Anointed One. So these Old Testament statements tell us that, listen, to the one that they point to is indeed the Messiah, is indeed the Christ, and this is Jesus. So Jesus fulfills Scripture. Old Testament Scripture would be fulfilled through Jesus. And there's a number of these references. In John chapter 19, there's the reference to the Roman soldiers dividing up Jesus' clothing and then casting lots for the remaining garment. That was predicted in the Psalms. There was the statement about Jesus declaring that he was thirsty and that those who attended to him during his crucifixion gave him vinegar to drink. And of course, that's also predicted in the Psalms. David has a statement about, they gave me vinegar for my drink. Why'd they do that? Well, there was a certain reference that David had, but we see the reference also pointed to Jesus at his crucifixion. Later on in John's chapter 19, this is just after Jesus' death. We see a couple of references where the Roman soldiers attending to Christ, they don't break his legs. Breaking the legs of one on a cross was something you do to hasten his death. And they didn't have to do that because Jesus had already died. And of course, that was a reference from Psalms that said, not one of my bones will be broken. And then there's also the reference in John's gospel where one of the attendants took a spear, stuck it in Jesus' side after he had died. And the text says that there was blood and water that had gushed forth from Jesus' body after he had died, while he's still on the cross. And the references from Zechariah, they looked upon the one whom they have pierced. And of course, it's Jesus who was pierced by the one who attending with the spear. So all of these little references, all these little pieces of the puzzle, if you will, from various places throughout Scripture, all come together, all are part of the story of Jesus on the cross. And so in that way, we say that Scripture was fulfilled. These are particular references that were fulfilled by Jesus on his death on the cross. Of course, a bigger one that we would look to is the text in Isaiah chapter 53. You notice the beginning of Isaiah's that chapter. This is Isaiah 53. And listen to what Isaiah writes, and imagine you can see the picture that is fulfilled by Jesus. He had no beauty or majesty to attract us to him, nothing in his appearance that we should desire him. He was despised and rejected by men, a man of sorrows, familiar with suffering. Like one from whom men hide their faces, he was despised and we esteemed him not. Surely he took up our infirmities and carried our sorrows. Yet we considered him stricken by God, smitten by him and afflicted. But he was pierced for our transgressions. He was crushed for our iniquities. The punishment that brought us peace was upon him, and by his wounds we are healed. We all like sheep have gone astray. Each of us has turned to his own way, and the Lord has laid on him the iniquity of us all. When Jesus died on the cross, it's very clear that Jesus fulfilled the Old Testament and fulfilled the prophetic statements of the Old Testament during his death. That's why it's so important to read and know and understand your Old Testament, because the Old Testament is key It points forward to Jesus, because it points forward to the one who was the anointed one, who was the Messiah, who was the Christ, who would die on behalf of the people.